This is Atari again, and I'm going to be making a chicken mushroom penne pasta. And I'm going to be using it with heavy whipping cream. What I have here is I have two breasts that I cut, chicken breasts that I cut in half. So it kind of makes it a little bit flat. That has just the bone out and skin removed. There's some fat a little bit there. You're gonna have to get penne, 16 ounces, 7 ounces of button mushrooms in a can. If you can get fresh mushrooms, that would be better. I had some fresh mushrooms, but it was getting spoiled, so I had to resort to using a can. So if you want to, I would use like fresh, or you can, if you don't like mushrooms, then take that out. So that's about 7 ounces of parsley as well. I cut it, and this is 6 cloves of garlic. That one is sliced and diced. Okay, I have my spices here. I have a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. If you don't want that, the spice, then you don't have to put that in, but it does give you some flavor, as well as in the sauce. Then you have a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of sea salt. Here I have heavy whipping cream, so I have 16 fluid ounces, and I'm going to be adding butter. First thing that I got here is I am going to cook the penne. And so I'm going to put that in the pot now, or wait until it's a little bit boiling and put it in there and cook it as what the box instructs on how much minutes. It all depends on what brand you have. It'd be more or less. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the pasta to boil and cook, I'm going to season my chicken. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix it up here. And my daughter made this the other night, and my family wants it again, so I'm gonna make it. And this time I said I was going to film it because it was so good. My 11-year-old daughter made it. I might add a little bit more seasoning to the sauce, but if I have extras in here, then I will just add the rest to the sauce. But you want to mix it up really good, just like that. And it's a good time to add some of the seasoning onto the chicken while the pasta is cooking, because then that way it seeps into the chicken. So you're just going to sprinkle a generous amount of that seasoning onto the chicken. And then once I put it in the pan, I'm going to put the seasoned side down, and then I'm going to do the other side once that is in the pan. So my noodles have cooked. I have it a little bit al dente because I have it still in the water a bit. I am going to use that water to put into the sauce. So it is just a little bit al dente. Okay, I have a large pan here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some butter to it on medium to medium high. So I have some butter in the pan here, and I'm using unsalted butter. And you want to get a generous amount. And you don't want your heat to be too high, or else it's going to brown the butter. So I have it on medium at the moment because I had my pasta on the stove, so it's already hot burner, so it's on medium. So I have the chicken seasoned on one side, and I'm just going to add the chicken with the seasoned side down once the butter is melted. So I'm going to do that right there. And I'm going to put it to the pan. It's actually a deep dish pan you want to get. And oh my gosh, this thing is so good. It kind of reminds me of like Cajun type of pasta. Okay, so that now that is cooking on that side, I'm going to season the other side now. Pretty generous amount of seasoning on this side. You want all those flavors to go into the chicken. And I do have extra seasoning, and so that's going to go into the sauce. But yes, add as much seasoning as you like on here. And if you want it spicier, you could add a teaspoon of cayenne pepper instead of a half a teaspoon of cayenne if you like it spicy. Kind of like a Cajun, Louisiana style. Okay, so I'm going to let that cook until it browns on one side. And I'm going to turn it over. And once it's I want to cook it until it's still a little bit pink inside. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it up, and then I'm going to put it into my sauce once that's all cut up. I can put it inside. But you want to brown it. You want to be able to brown it for a few minutes and then turn it around. I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. Okay, as you can see, the chicken is cooking, and when you see that you have a white type of edge on it, then you're going to want to now turn it around. And you got that nice caramelization from the spices and the butter. Oh boy, it looks like kind of like fish right there. You see that? How beautiful that is? You turn that around. Try to get some of that oil onto that side. And how I like to do it, if you don't have your like a pot holder, I just use my tongs like that and just kind of move it around. So what I did while I was waiting for that side to cook, I did wash my plate here. You want to be extra careful when you're working with any type of meat or shellfish, especially chicken, and has salmonella. Even eggs has salmonella. And believe it or not, like spinach too has salmonella, so you want to wash your greens good as well. So here I washed that, and I'm going to just cook it up a little bit. I want to be able to see that pink kind of cook down a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cover it just to help it cook. So I'll put that for a couple of minutes, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, I kind of like, while I'm waiting for that, I kind of got my spoon and just kind of moved it around a little bit so it doesn't get stuck together, the pasta. And that's looking great. In a couple of minutes, you see how the middle part is gotten white, but there's a little bit of translucence of the pink inside. So I'm gonna check it out and see how that's doing here. A few more minutes. I want it kind of more caramelized than that. About a minute or so. I'll do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the chicken into small pieces here. What I like to do also, because we're sanitation, I don't want nobody to get sick. Always, like when you're touching raw meat as well, on your tongue, once your meat is kind of cooked down, you want to wash your tongs so that there's no raw meat on there. So I'm gonna do that right now while I let that down. Okay, so now I have my clean pair of tongs here. I'm still waiting for it to see it get brown here. About a minute or so more. Okay, so now it's caramelized. And it's still a little bit pink inside, but that's what you want because you're gonna let it cook in the sauce for a bit. But and it's easier to cut the chicken when it's a little bit raw. What I'm gonna do is while I'm letting that set for a little bit, I'm going to add my vegetables in the pan. So I'm gonna add a little bit more butter to this pan. I'll lower down my heat to low. So I have that there. All the juices are going to come down from that and it's going to taste really good. So you want to kind of wait a couple minutes, lower down your pan here, and I'm going to add a pat of butter. Okay, so I have a pat of butter right there. And what I want to do is I want to let that melt. It might be kind of look like it was burned on the bottom, but when you put the cream and such, it's going to deglaze all of that, and it's going to mix up into the sauce. And those extra bits of, like, it's not burnt, it's just caramelized. It's going to get into the sauce and it's going to taste really good. So I'm going to add the 6 cloves of garlic, the mushrooms, and the parsley in here. If you want your parsley to be more fresh, you can add that after the garlic is cooked down. And if you have fresh mushrooms, you can, once the mushrooms are done, then you can add the parsley if you want it a little bit more fresh. But I like to cook it down a little bit, cook it down together. And then that way, all those flavors from that parsley seeps into the mushrooms and into the gravy, which I like. You can probably add a touch of parsley towards the end as well, fresh parsley. See how it's caramelizing the mushrooms? You want that. While I do that, I'm going to cut my chicken right now. Okay, so it's been, while it was cooking down, I cut the chicken, and as you can see, it's still a little pink inside. So whenever you're doing this type of thing where your meats are half raw, make sure you cut it as soon as possible and place it back into your pan. That way you don't get sick. So I just turned down the heat. I'm gonna put up the heat a bit more. And then I added, like I said, a little bit more butter to the pan. And I'm just going to toss in the chicken. And I'm going to reseason. So I added the chicken in here. I'm going to get all those flavors going from the bottom of that pan with the parsley and the garlic infused in that parsley raw chicken. I'm just gonna cook it, stir it a bit. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to add the heavy whipping cream. Okay, so I changed my spoon, change it to a spoon, and I'm adding the heavy whipping cream. I'm going to add the whole whipping cream in there. And this is 16 fluid ounces. You want the heavy whipping cream. It just tastes a lot more creamier. And if we need to add some more water to the sauce, you can. But this is going to be a nice coat on the pasta. And I have some more of the seasoning left. You can either save it or add some more to it to your liking. So I'm just going to add a little bit more seasoning. And that way you can just put it in a Ziploc bag or a jar, and you have a seasoning mix right there. So I just mixed in that seasoning, and I'm gonna let this cook for a little bit, a couple minutes, and then I'm just gonna add the pasta with the water. Okay, so I added the pasta to the sauce, and I'm just gonna mix it up. And it has the consistency of, like, I don't know if you tried making stroganoff before, but it has that nice creamy thick thickness about it. It just coats the pasta. I'm gonna let it cook just for a couple more minutes, and I will plate it up. And if you want to add extra parsley on it, then by all means. If you want to season it up a little bit more, you can do so. I'll show you what that looks like on the plate. Okay, I tasted it, and it kind of needs a little bit more seasoning. So you just add to how much you like to it. I'm just going to use it all because it has a lot of that onion powder, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning and such. Okie dokie. This is the pasta here, and you can see that the sauce coated really nice onto the pasta. You still have the greenness from the parsley. The chicken is perfect. The pasta is perfect. It's seasoned really well. I hope that you guys can make this, because this is now my new favorite pasta. So, aloha. Thank you.